Hey, my name is Emily Romero, and I am a consultant in the University of Northern Colorado's Disability Resource Center, in addition to my other roles on campus as a doctoral student in educational psychology and a graduate teaching assistant teaching undergraduate students psychological courses. Today, I am going to show you what screen readers sound like so that you are equipped to handle situations when your colleagues, students, and professors are using them. We're going to look at 4 different files, 3 of which we will read on Canvas, and 1 of which we will read in a native Macintosh OS app called Preview. I'll explain why in a moment. All 4 of these files will be at different levels of accessibility, and I would like you to keep track of the relative accessibility of each one. Don't worry, you won't be on your own for this because I'll be talking you through that part. Let's enter our first file now.
Global navigation.
That's just some text on Canvas. I'm going to navigate into the document using keyboard commands to navigate by heading.
Zoom.u heading level 1, doc viewer.
This is the doc viewer. Let's see what controls it has.
Navigation, page. Previous page, dimmed button, 1, next page button of 33.
Okay, that's a good start. We can tell this document is 33 pages long.
Navigation, rotate page clockwise by 90 degrees button. Zoom out button, zoom in button, enter full screen button. End of navigation. End of navigation. Heading level 2, pages, FOUR.
This is chapter 4 of a book called Perfection Salad, and the computer voice over the screen reader has just spelled out this number 4 for us, FOUR. Let's hear it again.
Heading level FOUR, FOUR, FOUR.
Let's see how it reads the next text we encounter.
Perfection salad. Cooking magazines, cooking columns in the newspapers, cooking clubs, cooking schools, training programs for cooking teachers.
That's a long chapter name.
Cookbooks of every size and style. Now, what does all this enter and cookery mean? Asked Mary Lincoln.
Okay, so it's reading the text for us quite nicely. And as I navigate line by line, it is reading, or excuse me, as I navigate paragraph by paragraph, it is reading for us one block of text at a time in a very clear manner. What may or may not be visible to you in this moment is that there is an image down below this text, which does not have any alternative text description and is not otherwise indicated to the voiceover user. This file would need a little bit of revision with alternative text added to the images that are present. Let's look at our second file.
Out module link module navigation, navigation, link, previous module item, visited link, next module item, 55 link chapter 4 characters examples.pdf.
Okay, here's a file called chapter 4 characters examples. Let's see what happens when I try to navigate to it.
Global header, heading level 1, doc viewer, navigation.
I'll skip over these navigation controls because they will be the same for all our files, as they will be for any PDF that you might see in Canvas.
It's the next page button of 10, navigation. Rotate page closes, enter full screen, end of navigation.
We're at the end of the navigation. The text should start any moment now.
Heading level 2, pages. Heading level 2, annotations.
And if we get to the annotations heading, we have reached the end of the text. So this PDF is not accessible because none of the text is showing up for the voiceover screen reader. This means that this file would need to go all the way back to the drawing board, so to speak, and be recognized by something like optical character recognition and then be put into potentially another kind of file format, such as a Microsoft Word or Apple Pages document, or a plain or rich text file if the user has that need. Let's navigate to our next file and see how it does in comparison to these first two.
Vid module navigation, visited link, next module item, 55% chapter for example.pdf, global heading level 1, doc viewer.
This is also called chapter for example. It's a similar file title, but it is not the same text. We are going to skip the navigation controls again and see how this file does. Pay attention here to the formatting of the file.
Previous net of navigation and heading level 2, pages, lesson 4, characters, whatever is translatable in other and simpler words of the same language without loss of sense or dignity is bad. Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
Okay, so it read this to us and it didn't omit any words, but it's reading this to us 1 to 2 words at a time, which, while scannable and technically usable, is not ideal because greater efficiency is often required in the higher education environment than this document is providing. This document might need to simply be reformatted into a slightly different file type, e.g. a Microsoft Word or an Apple Pages document, or a plain or rich text file. And it may be a little bit better for screen reader users to read documents like this once they have downloaded them to the hard drive, as opposed to directly in this viewing frame provided by Canvas. Let's go ahead and read the fourth file. The fourth file has some elements, some very specific elements that are much better read by screen readers when I open up files with these elements in the app called Preview. So that's what we are going to be using here. This file is going to show you a table, an image, and some text. I'm going to use the standard Command Tab command to navigate over to my Preview app, and we will read what we have.
Preview.
Let me just navigate to the top of the file here.
Heading level 1, example file.
And I am, of course, still using the keyboard keys to navigate this file and read it.
Heading level 2, table example.
We have here a table with 3 columns and 3 rows. Let's take a look at this table and see how well VoiceOver reads it.
Table. In table, files completed. Day, column 1, row 1.
So our first cell in this table, the first row of the first column is for the day.
Day.
Then we move across and see
number of hours worked.
And
files completed.
Let's go through a couple of days and see how productive this employee actually was.
Day, Monday. Number of hours worked, 6. Files completed, 8.
The fact that VoiceOver is reading the column that a datum comes from before reading that datum, for example, that the person worked 6 hours on Monday, is very important and increases efficiency tremendously for screen reader users. Let's look at Tuesday.
Day, Tuesday. Number of hours worked, 3. Files completed, 5.
That table read very smoothly. We have reached the end of it, and we would know this because if we try to navigate further in the table, we again hear
5. Column 3, row 3.
The same 5 that indicates that the person completed 5 files on Tuesday in 3 hours of work. Let's exit this table and see what VoiceOver does when an image has alternative text. Listen to the alternative text written by a colleague of mine.
Out of table. Heading level 2, image example. A yellow Labrador is laying on a wooden bench outside. The lab is wearing a blue collar with a few tags hanging from it. The background is blurry and the colors are greens and browns. Image.
So from this, from hearing, or both, you can tell that the lab is yellow. The lab is lying on a bench, wearing a blue collar, and the background's a little bit fuzzy. It's a little bit camouflaged in browns and greens and earthy tones.
Heading Level 2, sample text from O4 Perfection Salad.
This is just what it sounds like when we read text in preview.
Cooking magazines, cooking columns in the newspapers.
And it's going to go on from there. Now, I have shown you 4 files, each at different levels of accessibility. Let's count them down. In 4th place, the file that we viewed second, the chapter 4 characters examples files, would not read at all. It needs to be totally revamped. In 3rd place, we had the other chapter 4, which was reading to us a word or two at a time, but was still technically kind of usable. 2nd place was the text of Perfection Salad. It was reading nicely, but the alternative text for images was missing, and I, as a screen reader user, would not have known that that image was there if a colleague had not told me. Finally, we viewed our 1st place file, which contained the table and image example with alternative text. From this exercise, we can glean and understand that consistent formatting, proper labeling of rows and columns in charts, alternative text in images, and ensuring that multi-column formatting or other formatting quirks do not interfere with the reading experience for a screen reader user are the cornerstones of accessible file creation. I have shown you one voice for voiceover at 1 speed. I have shown you this at a medium speed because a medium speed is what most people start out with. And by a medium speed, I mean approximately 50% of the maximum possible speed. This medium 50% speed is what most people start out with when learning to use a screen reader. However, this screen reader's voice is a little bit customizable.
Rate 50%.
I'll show you what it sounds like at both extremes.
41%.
That's a little bit slow. It's not going to be efficient for anyone.
5%.
And then most people
Cooking
wind up between
20 closing rate menu. Cooking rate 25%.
people might slow it down to there if they really need to hear a word spoken aloud, or move to
50%.
this is where we were before.
70%. 75%. 70%. Cooking magazines, cooking columns in the newspapers, cooking clubs, cooking tools, training programs for cooking teachers, cookbooks of every size and style. Now, what does all this interest cookery mean?
About 70% is where I wind up most of the time when I use this particular
70%.
voice.
Pitch rate 70%, 75%, 80%, 85%, 90%, 95%, 100%.
And this is the maximum speed that this voice goes to. A little bit more difficult to understand for many users, including myself, but be aware that everyone's speed preferences will be different, and that you might hear screen readers being used at rates from the very, very slow to the very, very quick.
70%.
Here is my typical 70%, and I'll show you what that sounds like on a typical day for me as I navigate around the windows to end this video in a fun way.
Safari. Zoom.us.
It's referring to the app as Zoom.us, its full name.
Finder. Preview. Safari. Zoom.us. Finder. Preview. Safari. Zoom.us. Annotate button.
Okay. And we have reached our Zoom window again, which means it is time to stop the recording and get this video out to be viewable by you all. I hope you have enjoyed this exercise. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me. at emily.romero@unco.edu. That is EMILY.ROMERO@unco.edu. Thank you.